Okay, I'm gonna say two words to you.
Okay.
Okay, let's see if you know what they're. Allergic rhinitis. Allergic rhinitis.
Rhinitis. I mean, how about hay fever? How about
hay fever? How about
well,
hay fever?
Dude,
you know why I'm saying it? Because I could see it in your eyes. I could see it in your eyes.
I can see it in your eyes. What song is that?
I don't know.
See it in your eyes. It's a one-hit wonder. I'm going to come back to it, and I'm going to sing it back to you at some point. But I appreciate your.
I mean, I only can hope that you sing it back to me. But yeah,
I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in your smile. I mean, how am I doing? Nothing yet? That's Lionel Richie, actually. Hello, I just got to let you know.
That's such a terrible song.
You know, it's funny because speaking of bad music, I noticed that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame had their inductees today.
Go-Go's got in. About time. About freaking time.
Wave them in. They should have been waved in. I hope it was their first ballot.
Ridiculous. No, they've been thwarted for years.
Those gals were 5-tool players.
Yes.
But I'm going to say something that probably a lot of folks, our regular audience on Commercial Break, are going to take umbrage with. But I think that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a piece of shit. Okay, I think it's an embarrassment. First of all, calling itself the Hall of Fame when there's one Hall of Fame and it's in Cooperstown is a problem right away.
Well, I think the folks in Canton would push back, or the guys and gals in Toronto. I think the NBA Hall of Fame is in I don't know where it is, but somewhere.
I thought they were in Canton. No, they're in Springfield, Missouri, or something.
Springfield, Canton is
where did that come from? Yeah, I don't
know. I mean, but I know where you're going with this. Go ahead, keep going.
Well, look, I mean, when Kraftwerk can get inducted in, what I remember about Kraftwerk is probably what I remember about Kaja Gugu. Which was that it was unfortunate when it happened to be mixed into some radio that I was listening to back in the 80s. So I'm sorry. And I believe they're from Germany. So my friends from Dusseldorf may have an issue with me. But so look, the market's got a huge issue with inflation today. And boy, we nailed this on Fast Money last night. It's not often that we decide to kind of focus on a really, frankly, an off the run economic indicator. Except for that we previewed that this might be a big number and Shazam. So what do you take from that? And is this kind of like, what told you so? What are you feeling?
Well, we never do that part. You know that.
No, we don't do. No, you're right. And you never do it. So keep going.
But what we do is we try to sort of explain to people what we're seeing. And one of the things I said last night is like, look, unless this number is extraordinarily hot, which by the way, I didn't think it would be. I said, you're probably going to see bond yields maybe go back to 158 or so, because so many people have gotten this in their mind, and maybe that move up to 162 took it into account. The number you saw today was just it's ridiculous. I mean, it's it's historic on a number of levels. It's the highest read we've had in, I want to say, 39 years or something, which is remarkable. So, and I mean, I know transit, supply chains, I know all the effing excuses that are out there, but it's more than just that, in my opinion.
Well, it's what's really extraordinary about it. And there's a guy whose stuff I read who's fantastic, and we've known him for a long time, Peter Bookfar.
Sure.
He writes an incredibly insightful economic newsletter. And he pointed out that, hey, look, and he's been harping for a long time on some of these same themes, but he said, I'm just gonna point at the month over month increases in inflation. So it's one thing to say year over year relative to COVID, and this inflation is gonna. By the way, a bee just crawled into my room, so
it's just adding to the hay fever.
Well, can you imagine if I got stung by a bee? I'd look like Martin Short in that movie. What was that movie where it was hysterical? All right, so. The point he made was that just even month over month, because I realized relative to May of 2020, we all know where we were, or April, I guess these are numbers for April. But the month over month numbers tell you really what's going on right now, and it's also the perfect storm of the monetary and fiscal, kind of double-barreled shotgun that we've never seen. Then you have supply disruption, supply chain disruption, whether it's semis, whether it's a lot of parts, whether it's still some global trade dynamics. And remember, steel prices are as high as they are because of steel tariffs, which we've harped on and not been fans of either. But so you have, then you have a case where really what didn't even trickle into these numbers were services labor inflation, which I think could get very scary in the next couple months. So look, I don't know. I do think that you can work through supply side stuff. You can ultimately get through a surge in demand for a world that's been on lockdown. And but the biggest thing you can't do is get the Fed out of the market and the Fed out of our lives. And that's something that existed pre-COVID, and it's a problem like so many that was accelerated in COVID, and has gotten worse. By the way, you know who else has gotten worse is Matt Harvey.
Something I knew, I absolutely knew you were going there.
He's gotten
and you
worse.
You're chomping at the bit. He had a rough outing today at Shea. It's unfortunate. I'm sure he was all amped up to pitch in front of, what was his hometown crowd. And, maybe he got a little ahead of himself. Maybe he was speeding up his delivery. I don't know. I didn't watch. But as it stands now, they're down 7. They being the Birds are down 7-1 to the Mets, who have rattled 6 straight, looking for their 7th straight.
7th straight, not even really playing well. Key pieces of this team on the IR. Their ace certainly been out of activity, and a number of guys, including the $342 million man Lindor, rat finder or not, hasn't done anything.
No.
So I mean, Yankee fans have to be looking across the bridge to Flushing. You take the Triborough. By the way, don't ever call it the RFK Bridge.
No,
why did we spend millions and millions of dollars renaming that bridge?
Tappan Zee Bridge is, as long as I'm on God's green earth, it will be the Tappan Zee Bridge. I think they call it like the Cuomo Bridge. No, it's the Tappan Zee Bridge to me.
Yeah. And this isn't political, by the way. I don't care.
No, I don't give a.
They could have called it Reggie Jackson, and I wouldn't have called it that. So you take the Yankee fans looking across the Triborough Bridge, which can get you from the Bronx to Queens, by the way.
Yes,
for people that don't live in the tri-state area. What are you thinking about this squad? Are you worried? I mean,
am I worried about my squad in the Bronx? Or am I worried that the Mets are onto something? We might be seeing them in October. Is that where you're going?
Are you worried now? I think what bothers you more is the possibility that the Mets could be the more relevant team in New York. What do you think about that guy, Domi?
I like what you did there. Listen, as long as the Yankees play in the Bronx, the Yankees will always be the more relevant team. And that is the snobbery that is allowed, that is necessitated as a Yankee fan.
And in closing, and as long as the Fed is playing in our markets and is overstepping the bases the way they are, I think you're going to have enormous volatility, and it's very possible you could get caught in a rundown, guy. And we might be caught in a rundown right now, but in the meantime, the Mets are winning, and I hope you have a good day. You look nice today.
See you later.
Bye.